lose his license.
So the state revoked his license to practice anesthesia and suspended his license to practice dentistry indefinitely. 19 investigator Mike Mason was in Columbus, has a story you'll see only on 19 News.
Members of the Ohio State Dental Board making their final determination regarding Dr. Faisal Qureshi.
The board, in its expertise, has determined that suspension of the dental license and permanent revocation of the general anesthesia permit is necessary to adequately protect the public.
Board members voted to permanently revoke Qureshi's license to administer anesthesia, and his license to practice dentistry has been suspended indefinitely. Qureshi and his attorney didn't want to comment, citing pending litigation. Dr. Qureshi, do you mind if we ask you a question?
No, I have no comment other than the comments I'm going to make to the board.
This case is surrounding the death of 48-year-old Matthew Miller from Lorain County. In 2023, he went to Qureshi's practice, the Visage Surgical Institute in Medina, to have 3 of his teeth pulled. Qureshi chose to do the procedure under general anesthesia. Within minutes, Miller stopped breathing and died at a hospital 4 days later. The dental board investigated and accused Qureshi of making several mistakes. They say Qureshi failed to have Miller cleared by a physician prior to the procedure. They say he administered a series of narcotics including Versed, fentanyl, ketamine, and propanol, one right after another without stopping to make sure they were working. They also accused Qureshi of not properly monitoring Miller while he was under anesthesia. A hearing examiner reviewed the evidence and recommended suspending Qureshi's license to administer anesthesia for up to a year. She said this was an isolated incident, but agreed mistakes were made. At the hearing, we heard statements from Qureshi, his attorney, and the Attorney General's office.
I'm deeply saddened by the events of August the 4th, and that even after the fact of performing 20,000 anesthesia procedures, that tragedy will forever remain etched in my mind and on the impact on that family. My desire to being committed to serving the people of Ohio and educating our future profession stands very strong in my mind, and I hope to continue that career.
You or the public may have seen on media accounts, which I would say is one-sided, which did not have Dr. Qureshi's input, and which is being driven, unfortunately, by personal injury attorneys who do have a vested account in the outcome of this. The hearing was not just one-sided.
Qureshi didn't use a stethoscope to do an evaluation of the heart and lungs. It's almost laughable that to say that someone with as much experience and education as Dr. Qureshi, frankly, that he is a head of the Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery Center for training oral surgeons at Case Western.
And once again, board members voted to revoke Qureshi's license to administer anesthesia altogether. They voted to suspend his license to practice dentistry indefinitely, but not for a period less than 90 days. Qureshi does have the right to appeal this decision. Meanwhile, the civil lawsuit against him still continues, and we'll continue covering that and bringing you any of the latest updates. In Columbus, Mike Mason, 19 News.
Our investigative team has had a busy week. Tonight, a new 19 Investigates streams, including Cleveland Mayor Justin Bibb, turning up the heat at a downtown building, pushing to rush a case over what he calls unacceptable living and working conditions. Join me tonight on 19 News Plus at 6:30 after 19 News at 6.